streaming. Okay, there we go. It's come back up now. Yeah.
It appears to be working.
Okay, now we know.
Oh my god, YouTube.
If this had been Twitch, are we broadcasting black? I'm going to be really angry if we are. Right, chat, tell us if you can hear us. Tell us if you can hear us. Okay, oh, there we go. I have a preview now.
Annie, can you hear me?
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Oh,
if this had
Lord.
been Twitch, you literally just, on Twitch, if your PC crashes, you reboot, you open OBS, you hit start streaming, and you fix everything else while you're waiting for the stream to come back up.
Oh,
but no, with YouTube, you've got to make sure that the YouTube dashboard is open before you hit start streaming. Otherwise, it jams up completely.
Yeah, now, the other thing we have to do is you now have to replace your pop-up chats because the chat channel has changed.
Oh my god, the chat channel has changed, so I've got to...
YouTube streaming, it's something.
Okay, see, the past couple of times I've said, oh, okay, come on, YouTube streaming, that wasn't such a bad experience.
Yeah.
However, this is the kind of time when you actually realise, no, it's terrible. And I wish I could do this on Twitch, but I don't have 72,000 subscribers on Twitch.
Yeah, there are minor issues with streaming to YouTube. Or minor feature.
When it's working, it's fine.
Missing.
It's about the recovery, because that was the most car crash recovery I've ever had from a stream crash. That's terrible, Muriel. Right, okay.
It's not even like you can say, oh yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah. I just hope that it came up for people and they didn't have to refresh and stuff. Right, hello. Welcome back, everyone. The PC crashed. This old gal here crashed on me because I've got it overclocked a lot, but I've just quickly been like, turn off the overclock. And then we couldn't get, so yeah, the computer crashed. I rebooted and then I hit start streaming and YouTube wasn't ready for me. Because you can't just hit start streaming. You have to open the dashboard and hit go live and then start streaming. Otherwise, whatever.
It's amazing that Google can't apparently handle streaming in the sense of streaming.
I don't know why it doesn't work just the same way as everyone else's system works. Like literally any other server, whatever. Right. Where were we? Do we need to donate for this stream as well?
Absolutely, no. Donations are not required.
Never required, always appreciated. Anyway, right, and yes, tech person with tech issues. I kind of need to replace this computer, but I don't. Whatever. Anyway, let me just adjust. I've screwed up the camera angle now. There we go. What were we talking about? We were talking about cases, weren't we?
Yes.
Yes, we were
talking about why Lian Li 011 Dynamic is actually quite nice.
Yeah, the Lian Li is very nice. Right, I think we've just killed that conversation dead now, so we need a new topic. So I'm going to jump back to the iPhone Mini, and I want to talk about the size of the iPhone Mini. What are the specs? It's an i7 4770K, so it's 4th gen i7 in there. So it's getting a bit old. So yes, right. Let me see. So yeah, I was talking about I wanted to talk about the iPhone and just the iPhone Mini being a thing. Oh no, we talked about that as well. Well, yeah, we skewed onto iPad.
Presently loading the tech specs.
Yeah, I think the iPhone Mini is interesting because lots of people say they don't like big phones and they liked the iPhone 4 because it was small. And back in the day of the iPhone 4S, I was like, this is the perfect sized phone. However, every now and then I'll get someone come into my shop with an iPhone 4S because they just haven't changed their phone in a decade. And I'll put it in my hand. I'm like, what is this, a phone for ants? And so I'm like, I can see why there's big demand for a small phone, but I'm not sure if a small phone is what people actually want.
It's a lot of money, though.
How much is it?
So the iPhone 12 Mini is £700 for the 64 gig version, or £750 for the 28 gig version, or you can buy the iPhone SE for $412.
Yeah, buy an SE.
The iPhone SE 2020, 128 gig is... No, 470. So it's 450, 470 for the 128 gig version, which is why I went, it's a reasonably priced iPhone, because it's £450.
What's that? Is that an SE?
This is the SE. This is the 2020 SE in the Project Red trim, because that's the AIDS donation.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the charity one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a case of that was £400 and a bit, which to me is a reasonable price for what is a good phone, as long as you can put up with the weirdness that is iOS at times.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Sherlock Holmes, thank you for the $5.
Yeah, gosh. I am genuinely astounded by that pricing.
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah, and well, they price it because that's what they can get away with. This is the thing. It's just
that amazes me.
This is what frustrates me with Apple. It's a really good product. It's a good product, and we're going sort of, oh, it's really nice, and then you tell me how much it costs. I'm just like,
Yeah, exactly. I think
that's Apple in a nutshell. It's really nice, and then they unveil the price tag, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, especially with cheaper phones being really good this half of the year. With the Samsung S20 FE.
The UI is fine, Teltac. Deal with it.
It's okay enough. It's not great, but it'll do. But yes, sorry, with the S20 Fan Edition thingy, majiggle from Samsung being like $200 less, £200 less. So it's like £600. It's a decent price for a flagship phone. With the OnePlus Nord being something like £400. That's a cracking phone.
Yeah.
With the Pixel 4a and 4a 5G being like £400 to £500.
I want a Pixel.
It's really good.
Yeah.
With the Pixel 5 being £500, 500 and smidgen pounds. It's again a really good price for a phone. I have a Pixel 5.
Yeah.
I got it on Thursday last week.
Yeah.
I have used it from Thursday till last night, and I've gone, It's level of phone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like going from a Pixel 3 XL to that isn't an upgrade.
Yeah.
And that's skipping an entire generation.
Yeah.
Going from 2 phones ago.
That much being said, though, of course, this is kind of like when people were knocking Intel for releasing a new CPU every year. It's like, well, you don't have to upgrade every year. And it's the same with the phone. It's just like, shock horror, what if we didn't have to upgrade our phones every year?
Absolutely. And it's a case...
And so what I'm thinking there is a case of, well, that's fine, because me, who doesn't have a Pixel, can still buy a Pixel 5 and be like, wow, this is a great phone. But the thing is that... sorry, I'm nearly done. Is that the problem is Apple breached the 1,000, the 4-figure sum with the iPhone, and suddenly everyone else shot up to like 900 and stuff, and it was just like, oh God, is this the new norm now? However, there's a load of really good phones going, no, that is absolutely not the norm. We are making phones that will go toe-to-toe with an iPhone at half the price. And that, I'm really glad, and I'm hoping those phones get more attention as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my issue with the Pixel 3 XL and the Pixel 5 has been that the screen just is not bright enough.
Really?
It just flat isn't bright enough.
So is that as in, if you're outside walking in the street, you're walking to the sandwich shop or whatever, you get out your phone, you're like,
a bit. Yeah. Even today.
Really? It's not bright out there, it's an overcast day.
Right? Yeah. And it's not direct sunshine brightness.
Yeah.
I don't expect to be able to read a phone in direct sunshine.
That's a tall order.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Even though Samsung's been able
sunlight,
to Samsung's been able to do direct sunlight visibility for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's OLED though, isn't
Fine.
it? Yeah.
But the Pixel, for me, it's not even legible in like overcast days when you're outside. Well, no, it's legible, it's fine, it's just a bit dark. And it's like, I don't expect an £800 phone, in the case of a Pixel 3 XL, to be a bit dark. So, yeah, it's kind of, it's fine, but it's not as good as it should be on the screen front.
Yeah.
Which kind of then is a bit disappointing. The 90Hz refresh rate is nice. It feels smoother. It doesn't feel faster, it doesn't feel snappier on that front. It just feels smoother. As if someone has, lovingly applied butter to the entirety of the device.
I have to admit, I'm not sure if I need high refresh rate on the phone, But I said the same thing about computer monitors. Although that much being said, high refresh rate on my computer monitors hasn't changed my world as much as I thought it would either. But I don't want to go back to monitors again. We kind of talked about those earlier on. But just a quick one. Tim Ball of Yate Computing, a £5 donation toward a decent stool. Thank you very much, my dude. I will... You know what? Remind me to buy new stools this week.
Yeah, legitimately.
Yeah. It is going to have... I don't have space for chairs in here. So it will be another stool, sorry, but I will buy new stools. I will make it happen. So yeah.
Yeah.
And what? Oh, whoa! Oopsie Daisy just suddenly smashed in with the sticker. Thanks for being. Well, thanks. It's 200 NOK. That looks.
I was entirely gonna say, oh yes, North Korean. No, wait, hold on. Never mind.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I have a feeling that might be very expensive. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's not. I don't know how much that is. I'm really sorry.
I don't even know what a NOK is. I'm afraid.
To GBP.
Oh, Norway. Oh, okay.
Ooh, it's Norwegian krona
or krone. Crowns. Something like that.
I'm sorry, we sound really disrespectful right now. That's not what I'm intending. It's about £16.50. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That is significant donation.
Yes, that is. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I know we sound really... I don't want to sound like a dick. That's not what I want to be at all.
We are just being utterly uneducated.
Yeah, we're just Philistines. And when someone sends me... When Google just shows you the local currency, I'm like, I don't know how much that is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Someone just randomly going, here's some Norks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Google. Could you also give me a rough US dollar amount underneath?
Yeah,
that would be
really nice.
Super helpful.
That'd be really nice if it showed you how much they sent you, and then in brackets next to it, a rough conversion, an approximate conversion to your local currency, just so I can see that donation and have a rough idea on what value that donation was.
Or at least not, if it's not back to the local currency, to US dollars.
Yeah.
Or euros.
At least USD.
Just something that is...
Something that
politely uneducated people like ourselves might understand.
Yes. I'm not saying that Norway is an obscure country. I just don't know what currency they use. So,
yes. Yeah. Yes, it can be less helpful than that. It could give you what it is as an equivalent in Bitcoin.
Yes. So someone sent you 0.001 Bitcoin. I'm like, is that a lot? I genuinely don't know these days. Because I'm pretty certain a Bitcoin is worth quite a lot, but, you know.
I have no idea. Yeah, absolutely. I was... Yes, exactly. I had exactly the same issue that Teltac had.
Also, just quickly, Christopher, so you know whether to bother saying thank you. Thank you for any donation, legitimately from my heart. If you donate anything at all, which is never required, always appreciated, I am super grateful that you said, I will give you some money for no reason at all, kind of thing.
I mean...
Make no mistake, anything that comes through, there is no small donation. However, the joke is still funny, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think simply the fact of people, in a sense, donating their time to watch this, especially considering the quality of today, the fact that people are watching today, oh boy, thank you.
I'm not... Well... We're kind of making this a running joke. We're not being bad on purpose, but we're also going, we'll make it up as we go because that's funnier. But yes. We should probably start talking about tech again. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say about what Teltac said about the Pixel 3.
Okay.
And I entirely felt that looking at the Pixel 5. It was just... There was nothing particularly stand out about it. Yeah. But I was like, I've had the Pixel 3 for nearly 2 years now.
Oh man, the itch, yeah. There's nothing worse than...
I was just like, oh, and it's £500-ish. So I was like, yeah, cool, all right, I'll see what it's like. And I'm kind of like, I'm actually reasonably seriously considering abusing consumer protection law and just going, I don't want it. Yeah. Take it back. It's kind of a case of it's fine and it's good if you're buying a new phone because you need a new phone. It is not a phone to upgrade to.
It hasn't
from
changed
another Pixel. Yeah, and it's kind of a case I'm kind of going, maybe I should keep the money, kind of thing. And it's like,
yeah, I have to. Yeah, it's
I'm super excited for the Huawei Mate 40 reveal at the end of the month, though, because I'm hoping that it's going to be a killer device.
Okay, I'll get to that in a second, just because that brings up an interesting topic. But I was going to say, there's nothing worse than when you've got the upgrade itch, but you don't need a new product.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing ever, where you're just like, I'm bored of what I've got, but there's nothing wrong with it. You know, anything that I purchase will not increase my user experience by any meaningful amount, but I just want something new. There's nothing worse than that. Because, like, I've had that with my computer case for ages, my NZXT H500. You know,
yes,
I keep talking about replacing that case. And I keep saying, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. And then I never do. And, you know, I want something else, but I keep looking at other things and going, this will not be this will not be better in any meaningful way than what I already have. But yeah, the new Huawei.
Yes.
They don't have Play services though anymore, though, do they?
No.
How, like, can you still have like Google Drive and stuff though?
No.
That's a deal breaker for me, man.
Maybe.
And like, you're on the Google bandwagon. Is that not a deal breaker for you?
Well, yeah, but
oh, you okay? He says, holding up the 2 mobile phones he's carrying at the moment.
Yes, because I use 2 phones.
Yeah.
It is literally irrelevant to me because of the 2 of them, and it's the fact that this phone has no Google account on it. It has no app stores on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
The only way you can install apps on it is by downloading an APK.
Yeah.
And installing from the APK.
Mm.
But because of what I use this phone for, this phone is absolutely fine for that.
Yeah.
Even though this has full Google Play services, because it's a Mate 30? Mate 20.
Yeah.
Mate 20X something.
Yeah,
the 7.2 inch
That was the last one with Google services, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the 7.2 inch one. And I'm really, really hoping that the Mate 40 launch has a 7+ inch screen one again.
Yeah.
Because I want to replace that with a new 7-inch phone.
Fair enough. Well,
so yes.
What OS? They're still running Android because Android is open source, isn't it?
Yes, Android is open source.
Yes. However, the Google services are not.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah, you can have Android with no Google in it. It's just
effectively, yeah, absolutely. And that's what Android open source project is, and you can build that yourself.
Yeah,
if you wanted to. And there are, as far as I'm aware, pre-made blobs from Aesop for basically all of the Pixel and Nexus devices. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
If you wanted to build it, you could, and it would have no Google stuff in it whatsoever.
Fair enough. So, yeah. I use too much Google stuff for that to work for me, but I guess it could work.
It'd be like using an iPhone, just...
I'm just going to catch up on a couple of bits in things. Right, I'm about to butcher a name. Klaus Klapsiger? Klaus? I'm very sorry. I did receive your package with the Voodoo card. Mega thanks for that. I have to... Whenever someone says they're sending me something, I'm always just like, cool, thank you very much. However, when something actually shows up and they're just like, oh, you did actually send it. You know, so, because, you know, it happens. People go, oh, I'm going to do this.
I have a need to see this now, because it's that accelerator card, isn't it?
It's not the accelerator. It's a genuine Voodoo one, but it's not an accelerator one.
Oh.
However, I'll get it for the sake of the stream, because you sent it. We'll get... do you want... You're closer.
I will.
Okay,
I will.
In the back room,
squeak,
at the top of above the air-cool box, there's an open box. Yeah, I think that's it. Has that got a graphics card on the top of it? Yeah, it had some... Yeah, bring the whole box. Bring the whole lot. Bring it. Bring. So yeah, we'll come back. We'll come to this in just a moment. We're going to do an open box unboxing. Let's see. There was something else. Oh yeah, someone was asking... Corsair 275 Airflow, B450M, Ryzen 3600, 1660 Super. What kind of power supply? I would go... See what you can find, because with power supplies, it's a matter of what you can find at the time when you're buying it. I would be looking for... I'd be looking for like a 500 watt or ish. And if you're on a budget, so you want to spend, I don't know, £50 or £60, convert that to your local currency, then I would be looking for a 500 watt bronze rated thing. If you can find a 500 or 600 watt gold rated power supply, that'd be really good, like a Corsair RM or something like that.
The EVGA Supernova.
Yeah, or an EVGA Supernova. That'd be good if you can find one, because just availability.
Yeah.
However, if not, basically anything that's 500 watts and bronze rating, you'll be fine. Basically, that's a rough as guts recommendation there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So firstly, I got a care package, and when this showed up, I was like, no way, So we spoke a couple of in the pilot episode. We talked about me building up some of my old computers. And I've got a Pentium 166 out the back. And there was a video on the channel years ago where I was going to build it up. But I never found the parts. And I said I wanted a Voodoo card. But I couldn't find one for any price that I wanted to pay. And this chap, I'm going to say Class, I think. He said, I've got one. Are you still in the chat, by the way? Yes, you did. You didn't butcher the name. Yeah, good. More than welcome. He said, I've got one. I'll send it to you. And he did. Hold that for a moment, please. So he sent me this bad boy here, and I took it out. And I'm like, yes, man. Now, there's two types of Voodoo cards you get. You get what I would... To call it an all-in-one would be false, because that's slightly different, but it's a two-in-one. So, firstly, here's the card. So that is a Voodoo 1 card.
Voodoo.
Yeah, what is... It's Alliance Semiconductor? Do you know what the name of this is, Class? Like, what actual model it is, by any chance? Because it doesn't tell me much on the card. It's a Voodoo Rush. Oh, that name rings a bell. Voodoo Rush ATC 2475, for those of you playing along at home. Wow. So, back in the days of these Voodoo cards, you had... we started off with just your 2D graphics card, and then Voodoo Accelerator cards came out, and you'd have two separate cards. You'd have your 2D card... and your 3D accelerator card, your Voodoo card, and you'd have a VGA cable that went out of the back of one into the other and then to the monitor. You daisy-chained your graphics cards. It was nuts. This graphics card is an all-in-one job where it's got a 2D chipset there, and it's got the Voodoo 1 3D effects accelerator chips there. So it's got both of them on a single card. So this thing is super rad. And
that's awesome.
And I saw this, I'm like, yes, man, that's awesome. I dig it.
For glorious 256 colours.
This can do 65,000 colours, pardon your face. Excuse your entire face. So yeah, we got this rad Voodoo 1 card.
Voodoo 2 has actual SLI with actual scan interleaving. Scan line interleaving. There we go. Letters, acronyms.
Is that why? Yeah, that's what SLI stood for, isn't it? Scanline interleaving. I suppose, was it that each card took turns in doing one line or something like that?
Basically.
Yeah. Then also, I'm not going to get it out of the packet because it's going to take me ages to open this. He also sent me some Edo RAM. Actually, I will get it out because there's going to be some people in the chat that are like, what the hell is Edo RAM?
There are going to be people in the chat who are like, there was RAM before DDR3.
Yeah. What the hell is Edo RAM? That sounds... What the... This is some funky Edo RAM here. Oh man. So we've got some Edo RAM here. So this stuff here, that's Edo RAM. It looks like normal RAM. It's got some big chunky chips on it, and it's quite short. Have I got any? No. Oh yeah, I've got some DDR here. So there's some DDR3. That's Edo RAM. So as you can see, it's short boy. You had to fit these in pairs, and this is probably there's 1 times 32, so 1 times 32 bits or something. Someone do the maths on that.
Bits of storage.
This is probably 1 megabyte, maybe 2 megabytes if you're lucky, I'd imagine. Or it might be 8 meg. It's going to be a couple of megabytes, like, yeah, literally single digits kind of thing. And then also we got these ones here, which are literally, check these out. That's got blobs on it. So, there's not actually chips on this thing. It's literally just got just dye blobs directly on the card. I've never seen that before. That's mad.
Yeah.
So that's super cool. Was there anything else in the... I think that was everything. I think it was the RAM and the card.
I mean, that's still a lot.
Yeah. Oh, no. But wait, there's more.
Oh, God, you literally did the same thing I was about to.
Get this out of my face.
And here's a dial-up modem.
Thankfully not. That's not going in there. And yeah, there's a sound card as well. It's a Ensoniq. PCI sound card. No idea if this is exotic or not, but PCI sound card. So yeah, which has got the old style. It's got the old style front panel and CD audio input. Because in the 90s, when you're playing Quake 2 or Half-Life 1 on your PC, you got the CD in the tray. All the game audio, all the game music is on the CD as literal audio tracks. Like you could play them in a CD player and listen to the soundtrack of the game by putting the game CD in a CD player. And to get that out of your computer, your CD-ROM drive, because there was no DVD back in those days, your CD-ROM drive had an analog audio cable going directly to the sound card to get CD audio into your computer sound card. And then after that, they then made it so it could then do it through the through your parallel ATA ribbon cable. But at first, you needed that audio cable.
Yeah.
Now, loads of people, though, my mates used to come to me in school saying, "Graham, I've got no music when I'm playing games." I'm like, "CD audio cable's not hooked up, son." I didn't call them son. But,
Also, as far as I'm aware, right at the very beginning of CDs, the link was actually because the processor, the CPU of the computer, wasn't fast enough to decode the audio in real time.
That would make sense,
You needed specific fixed function hardware on your sound card to decode the audio in real time.
That makes sense, because why would your CPU have the technology to do that other than in software?
Yeah.
And obviously software, anything sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Also, the other thing do you remember when you plugged in your joystick to your sound card?
Yeah, it's got the joystick port on there. Yep, I had one of them. It was a gamepad, not a joystick, but I had it plugged into my sound card because MIDI port. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Right, I got really excited about the contents of that box, and I haven't been reading chat, so I'm just going to quickly scroll back there. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically collecting some retro gear, and one of the other Discord members, Catriona, is also going to send me a broken Voodoo accelerator, so a separate Voodoo only card. But that one doesn't work. But I'm going to see if I can fix it because it's got some blown up caps on it. We're going to see if we can replace those caps. So that's going to be cool. And I'm going to collect all this stuff together and try and build I mean, at the rate we're going, I might end up building 2 of these computers. And the great thing is that when I've got my new bigger shop, I'll have somewhere where I can actually set this thing up and just have a computer in the shop running Quake 1 because why the hell not kind of thing. And it's going to be rad. It's going to be amazing. Right, I'm just going to scroll to the bottom of the chat because sorry if I missed anyone. And yeah, even old tech brings me happiness despite being born in the wrong generation. Heck yeah. There's a couple of people in the Discord who are just like, you guys are talking about stuff that existed before my time, but it still sounds super cool kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. This stuff is literally older than I am, as some people said. It was just like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But no, it's as I was saying, we were saying about the video stats from the actual pre-recorded videos in, I think, the first episode or the second episode. We were saying about just the wide age range. And
yeah, that's right.
Just so great.
Yeah, we've gone, yes, just old people enjoying really new stuff and young people enjoying really old stuff.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, Noel Dowds, as I say, I'm collecting this retro gear at the moment to build some stuff up. So if you're happy to send it in, then yeah, by all means send it in. Check out adamant.it.co.uk, which is my terrible website. It does have the shop address on it. So if you want to send me a rad Voodoo card from the late 90s, you're more than welcome to. I will, it's all fine.
Or a rad Radeon card from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Timescales.
Right. Gravis Gamepads. I had a Gravis Gamepad at one point. Did I? Was it a Gravis? Was there another? No, I was about to say, what was that other? Well, you might know. I don't know. I think I had a Gravis one. Before I went on to Logitech, I had a Gravis at one point, and that was really cool because it had like a throttle slider on it and stuff like that. However, then I went on to Logitech gamepads for ages because just Logitech gamepads were awesome. But
yeah, I was going to say I started with a Logitech gamepad and then ran that into the ground until I got an Xbox 360 wired controller.
It's the Xbox 360 controller killed third-party gamepads because when the Xbox 360 controller came along, they ditched direct input, which was the input library that all of these gamepads, all these third-party gamepads were using. Direct input died around the same time that the 360 gamepad got Windows support. And as a result of that, you can still use third-party ones. The reason why third-party ones just always seem a little bit iffy and the Xbox gamepad just works is because direct input isn't a thing anymore. So you have to emulate and stuff like that. So all the third-party ones are now just pretending to be 360 controllers, and it's and it makes me sad. Like I think it was last week we were talking about Xbox controllers, so we won't dive into that too much. But the Xbox controller is really good these days, but I do miss the massive variety that we used to have. That was really baller. Something
I would kind of like is if there was an original Xbox to PC adapter for the Duke controller, the old Duke, the very first Xbox controller. So the one where the white and black buttons are at the top as opposed to on the pad here.
Yeah.
So the big one.
Yeah.
That one. I want that one because I really like that controller. Playing Halo, bouncing around Blood Gulch, and I kind of want one of them, but like I want an official one.
Yeah.
I'm
expecting all the Halo fanboys to come out and be like, Blood Gulch now. And I'm like, I never played Halo. I wasn't an Xbox kid. So, yeah. So, let me see. I saw someone there saying, I remember when you had to type park to stow the hard drive heads before you switched off. Before my time, I came in at the end of the 486 era. It was quite a while before we had a computer in my family household. However, my friend's dad worked in. To this day, I don't know what he used to do, but he worked in tech stuff, and he had a company laptop, and they had a 486 in their house, and like he had really early internet back when AOL was relevant, and also they had they had another ISP that used to do email as well. That you would connect to it, and it would be like, that's it, CompuServe. We'd dial up to the internet, it'd make the screech noise, and an American female voice would be like, welcome to CompuServe. And my 10-year-old self, my 10-year-old mate would be like, we don't know what that means, but it's cool. So...
Oh, dear. And then CompuServe got bought by FS. And then
FreeServe?
Got bought by FreeServe.
Oh, I suppose that explains the FreeServe name, I guess, doesn't it?
FreeServe got bought by them, and then FreeServe got bought by Voodoo, or something like that. Not Voodoo.
The graphics card company.
No, not Voodoo. Who was it? I can't remember. Someone like that.
Yeah.
Who then got bought out by Orange.
Yeah.
Orange merged with T-Mobile.
Yeah.
T-Mobile and Orange formed EE.
Yeah.
EE got bought by BT.
Really? When did that happen?
2 years ago.
Man, I missed that. Does that mean... So does that include mobile or just for broadband?
Yeah, no.
So
BT bought EE, the entity.
So EE is now basically BT?
EE is...
Did they retain the branding?
Yes. EE still exists and operates and trades as a separate...
Wanadu.
That's it. Thank you. It was Wanadu, not Voodoo.
Yep.
Yes, they are fully owned subsidiary company of BT Group.
Fair enough.
Yes, and BT Mobile, which is a virtual mobile network.
Yeah.
So it has no network towers of its own.
Yeah.
Runs on EE, which is owned by BT. So BT Mobile runs on the BT owned network, which makes sense. But yes, it's just a case of you can be on BT Mobile running on EE towers.
Owned by BT.
Owned by BT. Yes,
fair
absolutely.
Enough.
Just like technically at one point for a little while, you could be on a... Yes, you could be on BT Mobile, bought by Telefonica, before they changed the name to O2. And you could have your BT Mobile phoning your BT landline, but your BT Mobile wasn't actually owned by BT.
Tobias asks, will this be released on Spotify? Soon. I do want to make this more accessible. I've had quite a few people say sort of, "Oh, will you make this available on Spotify for podcasting and stuff like that?" Spotify, or just available as a podcast.
People want to listen to us.
Yeah, I know, right? So at some point, I need to iron out the kinks. But we this is what, episode 4?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. I think this is not. Yeah, this is number 4. And we seem to be, apart from that computer crash, we seem to have roughly got this nailed down now. So I will start moving into a position where I will start republishing on podcast places and stuff like that. I can't promise when it'll be available, but I do want to start doing that because, people seem to enjoy it. So, yeah. Let's see. Anything in the chat?
Yes. I was going to say, the good name, we can continue the puns with this restream of the second one is The New Hope after the crash.
Yeah. Let's see. Early 90s PCs were still a minority for people who had them by the late 90s. They got really popular for families. Yeah, same. Again, in the late 90s, just some... and that was kind of the case... I mean, my family, we got a PC because my uncle worked in tech. He was... I don't know who he worked for. However, he was mission critical technical support. He worked for some company, and it was a matter of he was just on call. And because obviously the internet was a bit limited there was no such thing as remote tech support. So basically, it would be a case of his mobile phone would ring at 3 a.m. and someone would say, "The computer in Derby or insert town here has gone down," and he would say, "Righto." He would get up, get in his car, and drive to that town to fix that system, that mission-critical system that had gone down. That's what he used to do.
Or his pager would beep.
Yeah, or a pager, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me, yeah. And so, he gave us his old hand-me-down PC. So we got a Pentium 166 from him, and that was our PC. But I was the only one who... It wasn't my PC, but I was the only one who really used it because the rest of my family weren't really interested. And in those days, there wasn't really much you really did on a PC, so I played games on it. It was right at the end of the late 90s when it was starting to take off. Pentium 2, Pentium 3 eras, people were actually starting to say, "Hey, we can use these," and start using them.
I got my first computer that was actually mine was an AMD XP, something like 1800, running on XP.
Yeah.
That was my first computer that was my one.
First one I bought and built was a Pentium 3800 copper mine. So, how are the price of used PC parts in the UK? I'm really bad at judging second-hand parts. I don't really deal with them very much, I'll rephrase that. I do deal with them much, but I don't often end up paying for them because where I'm in a computer shop, stuff just falls into my hands, basically.
I don't pay for second-hand equipment. Yeah. I just rough up the individual involved.
Often people just bring in stuff and they're just like, "Hey, can you put this to use? I can't be bothered to eBay it." And I'm just like, "Sure." And either they give it to me for free, or I'll end up saying, "Look, I'm going to lowball you on this because I'm in business to make money. You will get this much for it on eBay, or I will buy it from you right now for half that value." So, as I say, I'm not a very good judge of the real value of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know really. I think Facebook Marketplace is the place to be for second-hand parts right now. I think that's
sometimes maybe if you don't randomly get banned because you're selling electronics on Facebook. Because, Facebook...
Are you not allowed to do that?
Apparently.
Huh.
I mean, someone literally posted in the Discord earlier today that they got banned from Facebook Marketplace because they were selling consumer electronics on Facebook.
What? Whatever.
And it's just like, excuse me? Facebook, do you want to, actually have some rules that actually make sense?
I want to get into Facebook Marketplace because it seems like a good second-hand market at the moment. But just screw Facebook, man. Because I saw another article the other day about, because you know how with the Oculus you have to sign into Facebook to use your Oculus now.
For the Oculus 2 edition,
for all the new Oculi, hallowed are the.
Hallowed are the alright.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a Reddit post of some chap who linked his Facebook to his Oculus account so he could play on his new Oculus Quest 2, and his Facebook account then promptly got arbitrarily banned, and he lost access to all of his VR games.
Yeah,
and the message said, "This has already been manually reviewed and cannot be appealed." And he's just left. What do you do?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, that's terrible, Muriel, And I'm just like, I was kind of I was reaching the point where I'm like, you know what, I kind of want an Oculus Quest. I think that's going to be where I get into VR. But as soon as it became,
it's owned by Facebook.
Yeah, and as soon as it became mandatory that you got to sign in with Facebook, I'm just like, nah, that's no bueno.
Yeah,
that's no bueno. I got out of that trap.
Well, to me, it was a case of as soon as they bought Oculus, I was just like, no, Oculus is written off. I will never buy a product from them.
Yeah, and that's
just
sucks
because it's a case of
the Quest is really good.
Yeah, I don't trust Facebook as an entity.
Yeah,
I don't trust them to not randomly just go, I'm going to arbitrarily delete your account because you've not uploaded a photo of your face recently enough.
Yeah,
kind of thing of, you've not posted recently enough on your Facebook account, so we're going to delete it.
Yeah.
All right, but I use Messenger every day. Does that not count?
Yeah.
That requires a Facebook account.
And it's also,
And
also, you can't have a business account. One of the reasons why for the Adamant IT Facebook page, which is woefully neglected, I really should just shut it down. I don't post to it. I don't read the messages there. I really should just close the inbox there and just say, I'm sorry, I'm not using Facebook. Or whatever.
Yeah.
When I'm accessing that, the thing is, I don't use Facebook myself. I got out of that trap, so I don't want to log in using my personal Facebook account. So, in order to manage the Adamant IT one, I made a dummy Facebook account that's just called Adamant surname IT or something like that. And it's a matter of time before that account gets banned because it doesn't have a human name or any human photographs attached to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so I've got to use my personal account to manage my business account. Why can I not log in and manage a business page with a business account? I should not have to use my personal details to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a case of, at least it seems that most other services kind of understand this and at least give you actual business accounts. So
yeah. Moving on.
It's...
Horia says, which version or build of Windows is stable and crash-free in 1900 or 2000? 2004 seemed to have some issues. However, as far as I know, everything has been patched now. And to my knowledge, I'm not aware of anyone who's actually having issues with 2004 at the moment.
I'm the wrong person to ask because I literally never have any of the issues ever that people are like, loads of people are having these issues.
One of my capture cards didn't work on 2004 when it came out, but there's an updated driver for that now, which solves the problem.
Yeah, I've always managed to completely avoid almost all of these issues. The only problem I've had is the only problem I can think of I've had recently is Windows just randomly going, lol, you can't sign into your user profile, here's a temporary profile. And then completely buggering itself.
That's an issue that I've seen on historical builds of Windows, so that's not new to 2004.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, it's a Windows 7 thing.
Although
Vista thing.
It's an absolute bastard to fix in Windows 10 because the old fixes that used to work in old versions of Windows don't seem to, you messaged me a while back about that one, and I said how to. I think I pointed out how to do the registry fix for it. Did that work? That registry fix.
Yes. In a very technical sense of yes, I could then sign back into that account, and it was no longer a temporary profile.
Yeah.
However, none of my programs were installed. They had actually been deleted from the drive.
The profile was still screwed. Yeah. Yeah.
And not just that, programs were no longer installed.
Ah.
As in, C program files, programs, gone.
Huh.
D program files were gone. So, data from the non-Windows drive went as well.
At that point, you may as well back up and reinstall. Just because
I did. But it was just the fact I was just like, How? Why?
There are,
what?
I really dislike reinstalling Windows, but sometimes you hit faults with Windows where you're like, this is really spooky, and I'm just going to reinstall Windows.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a doubt in my mind that I could fix this and I could reinstall the programs, but like, is it just going to do that again in a week? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But it was the issue I was then also having was I install MSI Afterburner. I'd install it, use the PC for the evening, turn it off, turn it on the next day. MSI Afterburner was uninstalled.
Yeah, that's
and I was just
weird.
like, what is going on here? And then I just reinstalled Windows, and then delayed the start of Sins by like an hour.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yes.
Eddie Banicue asks, how many devices do you get to fix in per week, and where is your repair shop located? Adamant IT is in Shaftesbury, Dorset, England. And I am a very small outfit, so my turnover is not that high. I probably get in, on average, I probably do about... My records are really bad, by the way. I probably average 2 computers in and out a day, I reckon. So, laptop, desktop, or something that comes in that requires me to fix it. I probably average at least 2 or 3 in per day. And by extension, obviously, I must finish 2 or 3 a day on average. In reality, I have my good days and my bad days. I often have days where I'll only fix 1 or sometimes even nil. On Tuesdays are a very, very busy day because it's the first day of the week. I'm closed Sundays and Mondays. So Tuesdays, I can often go an entire day without completing a single ticket. And then that just means that the next day I have to catch up on that. But it goes up and down. I usually do about 2 or 3 things per day. And I don't have a proper ticketing system. I use spreadsheets to handle my stuff because I'm bad. However, this is something that I need to look into in the future because, as I say, my volume and my workload is greater than my system can handle at the moment, which is one of the reasons why I don't really know the answer to that question. And that kind of highlights that there is a problem with that system by the fact that I can't answer that question directly. So, yeah. I will be making more repair videos. Yeah, there haven't been many repair videos recently just because there hasn't been many just interesting ones. It's all just been boring stuff lately. I've got lots of custom PC building content in the pipeline, but not much repairs. And people say, we want more repair videos. I'm like, it kind of depends on what comes along, really. However, I am aware that there hasn't been much repair recently, and I'm looking at the ticket list going, what would make a good video? What stuff is here that will be good in a video? So yeah, I'll be working on it basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever exploded a power supply?
Oh, I have not blown one up myself. I've tripped a couple of power supplies where I've accidentally shorted wires on it and it's cut out and I've been like, oh. However, I've tripped a polyfuse on it because a lot of power supplies these days will have a polyfuse in them where it'll cut out. If you leave the power supply unplugged to one side for 10 minutes, then plug it back in again, it'll come back to you again. Not always. However, if it's a polyfuse, it'll come back to life, and that's what happened with one. I have had lots of power supplies blow up on me. There was one day when I had a work experience student working with me. We had 2 power supplies in one day go bang, and I'm talking. You flip the switch on the back, and it goes bang, and the breakers cut out, and you go, oh! And all the lights go off, everything turns off, full, and just we're just like, oh, power supply out of that one. This happened twice in a day, and for the rest of the day, every time we plugged in a computer, we were like, turning it on at the back, and just it happens sometimes, and yeah, just it hasn't happened in a while, but it happens.
Yeah. Oh god.
You sound like you were about to jump.
I was gonna say the only one I've done is with the Molex connectors. I hate the bloody Molex connectors.
Molex sucks. I get a lot of hate for saying that, but Molex sucks. Stop using it.
It's the only connector I've managed to accidentally short out against the case.
It can
It
happen.
just swung against the case and just shorted out.
Yeah.
And the computer just went, nope, and just turned off. And I was like,
Yeah.
Usually
that kind of power off, you'll be okay.
And then it came on absolutely fine, but I was just like,
Yeah, it's spooky, but it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, oh god, no.
I saw a good one then. I've forgotten what it was. Did you have any problems with the Era 1 RGB controller? No. I like the Aerocool Era 1. Has a really nifty RGB controller in it. It's the same one that's in the Airhawk that I've got in for review at the moment. And it's quite a nifty controller. It's an ARGB, so addressable RGB controller. But the cool thing about it is it's got proprietary connectors on it for the fans, these annoying 6-pin fan things. However, you can also connect up standard addressable RGB stuff to it as well. It's got 2 ports for addressable RGB and some non-addressable stuff as well. And so you can plug all of that into there, and you can control it with just a push-button switch. So typically you wire your reset switch to it, and that controls it. However, you can also then plug the hub itself into your motherboard's addressable RGB header, and you can put it into software control mode and control it all through software if your motherboard supports that as well. So it's a really rad controller that is very versatile and will work with more or less whatever you have. So I quite like it a lot, didn't have any issues with it.
I've just realised that ARGB, the A is for addressable.
Yes, not analog. I have a horrible habit of saying addressable RGB and analog RGB, which is really terrible terminology.
Especially as one is 5 volt and one is 12 volt.
Yes, which I learnt the hard way recently when I blew up an addressable fan by plugging it into a 12 volt header, which you were not. I had hot wired it, so that was entirely my fault. But yes.
Oh dear.
On that day, I received a grim message of a smelly fan. Let's see. What's your pricing list and fixes for jobs? It's kind of difficult. My flat fee is £50, and that's the base price that I work on for stuff. And if a job is really easily, I might drop it a bit. And if it's a particularly complicated job, I'll up it a bit. Like, for example, if it's a board repair job, I usually jump it up to £80 or £100, depending on complexity. However, I would be a bit careful about don't take just my prices as any kind of guide, because I'm in a rural town. If you go into the middle of London, they'll charge you £100 before they know what make the computer is, you know. So it's it really depends on where you are and stuff like that. So as I say, I start with a guide price of £50 labour, and then, you know, I might go up or down a bit depending on the job. And then also, like with parts, if an SSD cost me 60, let's say an SSD cost me £53, I'll sell it for 60. I'll round up, kind of thing. You know, that kind of thing. I don't, you know, you just add a few quid on here, a few quid on there, and that adds up into your profit. And generally speaking, you can do something that's pretty good value for money without completely shafting someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also, the perfect example of that as well is the fact that you're doing board repair, and Lewis Rossman's videos on him doing board repair. And he's like, you know, our board repair starts at $250.
Yeah, he's in the middle of
Because he's in the middle of New York.
Yeah.
It's a case of $250 is, well, actually, I need 10 of these a day to turn on the lights.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of... it depends on where you are and what your market is. And it's kind of, if your area is a cheap, poor area where prices are low for rent and so on, your charges for repairs can be lower and will be lower. If you're in an area where everything is expensive, your prices have to be higher because you have to pay your higher rent costs and higher bill costs.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see. So there's arguments about Windows 7 versus Windows 10. Good luck, Teltac. Use whatever you want to. I can't be asked to argue with people. However, personally, I recommend Windows 10. Definitely see 10-year-old 600 watt OCZ power supply. I would expect that power supply to be on its last legs. I mean, the fact this came up in a video a while back. I was rebuilding someone's computer and it had an old OCZ power supply in it, and I said, "I'm amazed this thing still works." And I see these things dead all the time. But then the interesting thing is, someone else pointed out, or I observed, I can't remember which it was, but someone said, well, if it's 10 years old, it seems to have done pretty well. And I'm like, that's a good point, actually. I only ever see them when they're 10 years old. I never see, so, it's had good innings, but at 10 years old, I would expect it to be on its last legs. Generally speaking, when I see them dead, they're usually choked full of dust. So if you keep yours clean, it'll probably be all right, but... yeah, I would be thinking about upgrading that at some point, because also it probably isn't 80 plus rated or anything like that. So a new power supply will be cooler and quieter as well. So you'd benefit from upgrading that.
It's the case that certainly when you have a working power supply, you can pick a deal on a power supply as opposed to having to buy what's available there and then when yours has failed. So it's possibly a good idea to start looking now at roughly what you need, and just wait for a deal to come up on something that you want. So you can just kind of go, oh, look, this one's 30 quid off. I'll buy that one. Done.
Yeah. Let's see. I was playing World of Warcraft one day and I heard a loud pop and smoke started coming out of your PC. Cheap cap in the power supply. There was an 80 plus gold as well. Oh, that makes me sad. Yeah. I think that's that's a bad luck one. What brand was that? What brand was that one? That could be interesting, because that might be just, although a lot of
random failures are still random failures, unfortunately.
That's right. And also, like, a lot of the decent brand power supplies, still just have Chinese caps in them. I think there's a bit of a shift toward putting Japanese caps in everything, but even then, right now, when a power supply says Japanese caps, most of the time they only mean Japanese input capacitors. The output caps are still just cheapo ones.
Yeah. I feel in a way it kind of doesn't particularly matter, in a sense of if the entire system, if the entire power supply is built to a standard, then great, that's good, and it's kind of an indication of, is the entire thing built up to a decent standard, because you're still going to have random failures even on the best of the best Japanese capacitors. So yeah, that is true. But yeah.
Let's see. Are Apple devices more complex than Dell, HP, Asus, etc.? Yes and no. So in the good old days when Apple devices were fixable, so I'm talking like, for argument's sake, let's say 2010 era, the unibody era. I would actually argue that they were simpler than PC brand laptops.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said sort of, Apples are harder to repair and stuff like that. It's just like, actually, they're not. A lot of the time, they're easier to fix because there's less wires in them.
Yeah.
And the internal layout on them is beautiful. Unfortunately, as of what I call the Thunderbolt 3 era, so all the USB Type-C ones. So I'm talking about the touch bar, the new ones. I mean, you used to say just touch bar, but not all of them have touch bars. The ones that have Type-C connectors on them. Those ones tend to be very, very difficult to work with. I think there's not a lot of people that can really do work on those. However, also I'm also saying that just because I haven't really bothered to look into it myself. Obviously, Lewis Rossman is fixing them. However, also, they are tough to work on. So these days, when they come in, I generally be like, it's not really something I specialize in. I'm not really interested in fixing the modern Apples at the moment, just because it's a lot of hassle to learn them when there are plenty of other easier computers that I could be fixing. And obviously, while there's an interest in expanding your boundaries and learning new platforms, there also comes a point where you can say, I could either spend 6 months learning this one particular brand of computer, or I could fix a dozen other brands in the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the reasons why I've always been a little bit, I was going to say Lewis Rossman has always specialized in Apple. And I was going to say I've always been a bit surprised that he limited himself to Apple. But then when you specialize in something, you have a never-ending supply of it. So it swings and roundabouts.
Also, he has a market in Manhattan that is very heavily Mac using. So his area is heavily Mac using. So if he was a general repair shop, I'd imagine he'd be 90% Mac anyway.
Yeah.
But it's and it's that. But I think the fact that the point that proved that most to me was the very first time I pulled apart something like a 2012 MacBook Pro, to do a hard drive swap. I was pulling out a drive and putting another one in. I did it, and at the end of it, I suddenly just went, wow, that was really easy. And I just hadn't expected it to be as easy as it was to just swap everything around. It was like, oh, damn, okay, yeah, that wasn't difficult. But yes.
Fair play. I think we're running out. I was just looking at the time, and I just saw you did as well. Are we wrapping up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to go over a couple more things. That I'm going to answer a couple of questions, but we won't go into any further discussions. So just a quick one. We've got Avis Pargus. When I turn on my PC, it turns on. Monitor says no connection. So that is called no post, when you turn on your computer and just nothing appears on the screen. Where you got, the fan spin, it makes noises, but there's no picture on the screen. That is called no post, no power on self-test. So you want to explore how to you want to do searches for no post, basically. And for that, you need to start going through, you need to test a different graphics card, reseat the memory, check the internal connections in the computer, possibly reseat your CPU. You've got to start, it's generally going to be a hardware issue. So start by taking the computer apart, putting it back together again just to see if you've got a bad connection. Otherwise, you may need to find another working computer so you can try a different graphics card in it or a different power supply, things like that. Remember, just because the computer turns on and the fans spin doesn't mean your power supply is not at fault. A lot of people assume that a dead power supply will be stone dead, as in no fan spin, nothing. You can still have a bad power supply that makes your fans spin.
And the other thing, don't forget the fabled battery out BIOS reset.
Oh, yeah, BIOS reset. Yeah, take your BIOS battery out. A lot of people will say, "I'll push the reset button or short the BIOS jumper." Battery out.
Yeah.
There's no substitute for battery out, and I doubted that recently. And then in a recent, there was someone in the Discord who was having problems. They said, "I've done a BIOS reset," and I said, "Did you take the battery out?" And they said, "No." I said, "Took battery out and that fixed it." So and they were just like, "Holy hell!" And I'm like, "Y'all have to." You get the idea. Let's see. Is Cooler Master a good brand for power supply? I'm not sure how good the Cooler Masters are. Again, they've got a lot of 80 plus white rated ones, and I don't like them. We talked about this earlier on. If it's 80 plus bronze, yes. If it's an 80 plus white, it'll be okay. For a low to mid level machine, I would trust it. But if you're building high end, then I would go further. Like if you're building like a 3600 and a 1660 or something like that, you'll be fine. But let's say you've got like a 3800X and you've dropped in, say, a 2060 or a 2070, I would spend a bit more and get a better power supply. As I say, look for a bronze or gold rated just for safety. Especially,
as I said earlier, EVGA supplies seem to be reasonably cheap and they're pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What are your new thoughts on the PS5 and Xbox releases? Not something I'm super interested in. However, I'm not interested in getting either of them. However, based on the fact that we're going into a new era where with NVMe SSD powered consoles, in theory we should be seeing a new era of game design where they don't have to do arbitrary slow elevator scenes while it loads the next section of the level and things like that. It's going to be interesting to see if game design actually updates to use all of these new gimmicks that they are touting with the new consoles, or whether it just ended up being hot air.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I like is the fact that we're moving on from Jaguar APU cores to Zen 2 CPU cores.
It's a big jump, isn't it?
So there is a huge upgrade in the CPU performance, which will hopefully mean that we'll get a huge upgrade on the PC side in a year's time as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and also I'm hoping that it normalizes 60 FPS and 120 FPS.
Yeah, that'll be true as well.
Because from what I have seen, Xbox Series X, everything is targeting 60 FPS or higher so far. So,
baller.
I'm pleased.
Eddie, what do you think of the Nintendo Switch? I think it's super cool. I don't think it's like a main console as such. There's my girlfriend has a Switch that I use occasionally. There's quite a few games that I enjoy very much on it. I'm looking forward to a Switch 2, and I'm hoping it's going to be a bit more agreeably priced because the Switch is very expensive for its performance. That's the problem with it. However, At face value as a product, I really like it. I think it's a really cool product.
I kind of feel that the Switch original, kind of in a way, people are using it wrong, in a sense.
Because they're using it docked, or
yeah, because they're using it docked. Because to me, it's a portable games console. It's a Game Boy on steroids.
I have to admit,
and that's how it's supposed to be used.
Yeah.
And then when everyone goes, "Oh, the Switch Lite isn't a Switch because you can't use it docked," well, no. The console also was never supposed to really be spending its life docked.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be something you played on the bus. It was something you played out in the park.
And it does make a lot more sense with that. I have to admit...
And that's, to me, what all of the original marketing stuff was kind of around, and what the portable device should be, because it's got a battery in it. That's clearly meant to be played away from a power source.
I did encounter a Switch Lite recently. I've actually got one under the counter. It's dead, unfortunately, but I picked it up in my hand, and it's significantly lighter than the big Switch. Because the big Switch, I don't find it's very comfortable to use handheld. It's too heavy. But the Switch Lite, as the name suggests, is actually light enough that I was like, oh, this is much more comfortable. So this makes a lot more sense. So yeah, Switch Lite it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me see. Bought Carbide 275R. Thanks for the videos. Cool beans. Thanks a lot, man. Enjoy the case. I like that case. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's everything. Sorry if we missed everything, but we could go for hours, but I think we're at the 2 hour marker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we've got to say goodbye. However, big thanks to everyone. We will be back next week at the same time. Again, we're aiming for 3:45 UK time, so 3:45 UK time. And I will actually try and schedule the next stream. So YouTube shows one of those set reminder things for an upcoming stream, which should make it easier for you guys to tune in. Teltac has thrown in the Discord link. I assume that's my Discord anyway. So that's the Discord link. Feel free to join and hang out in the Discord. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for all the donations we've had today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for the people who've been sending in really rad stuff like this Voodoo card and things like that. I don't know when I'll be bringing content with stuff like this. However, I'm collecting stuff, and I will be doing stuff with it. It could be a couple of months. This stuff might be waiting until I'm in the new shop, but it will be soon. It will make it into a video.
And the other thing is for notifications on stuff. If platform notifications fail, Twitter will be notifying at some point. There will be tweets.
Yes, that's a good point. At Adamant IT Twitter, that's what is the Adamant IT Twitter? I don't know.
What is Twitter?
Yeah, it is literally Twitter, Adamant IT. I'll spam that in the chat a couple of times from my non-mod account. There we go. My personal account is Nethersem, by the way. Anyway, there's the Twitter. We will tweet on that when something is happening as well.
Absolutely.
That's it. I'm saying goodbye. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Right, that's it. Thanks a lot. Bye.